Welcome back, guys. We are here for our Madden 23 Owner Mode Week 18 news episode, along with the Wildcard week. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into talking about what happened last game out. So, going into this game, we knew everything was on the line, and we came out with the W. It was huge, massive, but it wasn't always that way. Let's take a second to talk about that. So, starting off the game first quarter, you see the box score 3-10. We started off the game with a fumble on our end, which led to a recovery into the end zone for a touchdown. And then, not very long after, Davis Mills also threw an interception, which got them inside the red zone. We made them settle for a field goal, but that is a very quick way to go down 10-0. We responded back with a field goal. We tied up the second quarter 7-7. The second half was when we made our day. We put up a touchdown, they put up a field goal. Then we put up 21 to their 7 to get the win 38-27. With wasn't a certain game, but we played it well. We ran the clock out on them. A great day overall. Nothing was truly dominant, but the story of this day, offensive rushing yards. They did well to lock down our run game with 76 total yards, but they only had one with Jonathan Taylor. We needed that in our game plan. We said we are not going to let Jonathan Taylor beat us. We are going to make them test us through the air, and it worked out perfectly. We had defensive backs make some plays when we needed them, and we stuffed the run game. They could not produce anything in the second half. We love to see that. We dominated them in all the yards at that point due to the turnovers we had to make up. Great production overall. We did have 3 turnovers to their 1, but that one came at a crucial time. We will talk about that. Third down conversions. We had 1 fourth down conversion. No 2-pointers there. And we dominated time possession. So that is huge. All right, going over the stats. Davis Mills, 335 passing yards. You're looking at this, you're like, dang, he was slinging the rock around there, wasn't he? Not exactly. He didn't have a ton of pass completions. We look only 24 pass completions, but we had some deep balls, and we will talk about that in a moment. But if we look over the rest of it, 4 passing touchdowns, 2 picks. You hate to see those interceptions, but 4 passing touchdowns on the day is huge. He really got some help from his receivers today. Matt Ryan had a very great day, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, that 1 interception late, and that was the story of this game. Rushing, Dameon Pierce only able to produce 36 yards, 2.1 a carry. Marlon Mack helped him out, though, with 5 for 32, 6.4 a carry. They shut down the run game well, and we knew it was going to be tough to run against them, but we did well to get it from other areas. John Mechie had a sweep for 7. Andy Janovich had 2 carries on the day, and he got the job done when we needed him. But here's the one we want to talk about. Jonathan Taylor got the ball 13 times, only able to produce 1 yard. That is a massive production from our D-line, our linebackers making plays. We love to see that. Receiving. Who would have guessed? After all the standouts we've had Dameon Pierce, we've had John Mechie, we've had Kez Watkins who we traded for, Janovich stepping up, all these massive pieces, and who would have guessed that in the all or nothing game that we have to win to get the best shot in the playoffs, Deshaun Jackson, the 14th year vet, is the one who steps up. He gets 5 catches, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. He caught 2 different deep bombs, the longest one going for 60 yards. A huge day for him. Paris Campbell for them at 6 for 93, 15 and a half. He stepped up. Ashton Doolin also 4 for 70, 17.5. Kyle Rudolph also stepped up, 3 for 70. Kez Watkins at 4 catches for 70. They kept him in check for most of the game until a 37-yard long bomb got him all the way down the field. The other touchdown of the day went to John Mechie, who's gone such a long time without getting a score. Love to see the utility man getting used like that. And Mo Alley Cox caught 2 touchdowns for them. Blocking, Braden Smith led up a sack. Also, Titus Howard led up a sack as well. On defense, led the way with tackles by Shaq Leonard and Bobby Okereke for them. We were led by Jerome Baker with 7 and Jalen Petrie for 7. We had a very rough time trying to get those tackles in there. They were passing the ball all over us. But at the end, it did not matter. Tackles for loss. Bobby Okereke with 2, Jerome Baker with 2, Jalen Petrie with 2, DeForest Buckner with 2, Kama Grugier Hill, Jonathan Grenard, Blake Cashman. We got in the backfield so much, both these teams did, which limited the production, the run game. Sacks, Yannick Ngakoue had 2, Jonathan Grenard had 1. That was the only sack on the day for us. Interceptions. Rodney McLeod Jr. had 1, Shaq Leonard had 1, and then Desmond King had 1. He returned over 26 yards, and that 26 yards led to the score because he continues to produce. That is a 3rd straight week with a turnover leading to a touchdown with the defensive score, and specifically from Desmond King. He is our third string corner, usually playing in the slot. To tell you the truth, he's not the greatest. He is going to make mistakes. He's going to let up plays, but he is also going to make up for that with making plays. He was huge today, making that play when we needed it. He broke the game wide open, gave us the chance to come away with the win. Huge. So honestly, with this run we're on, I am willing to let him make those mistakes if it means he's going to make some plays back. Forced fumbles. Yannick Ngakoue forced the one that we talked about in the sack. DeForest Buckner picked it up, ran it in for the score. But that is everything. I'm sorry. And DeForest Buckner also, obviously, like I said, ran it in. And we go over to kicking very quickly. Both kickers were perfect. Blankenship went 2 for 2. Fairbairn went 1 for 1 in punting. But that's the story of this game. And now let's take a chance to look over some of these scores around the league for some of the playoff games that got decided as well. The Chiefs, we beat them earlier on the year. We thought they were out of the playoffs entirely, but they went on a massive win streak. And they beat up on the Raiders in the last game of the season, 35-21, to win the AFC West. If I have to look at the stats, on the back of not a great day from Patrick Mahomes, a solid day, but nothing crazy. Edwards-Helaire had a big day, 98 yards, 39. Nothing crazy. Was this a defensive battle, maybe? I don't know. It looks like it was a drag-out, tough-out battle. Sacks on the day, did that make the difference? Interceptions? No, nothing crazy. This was just a solid game, and Kansas City came out on top. And the game to decide the AFC East was a complete beatdown by Buffalo, 35-7. If we take a look at the stats, Josh Allen, 345 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Did Mac Jones, 237, no touchdowns or picks on the day. If we go over to rushing, Devin Singletary had 60 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Damian Harris for them with 38 yards and a touchdown. That was the only touchdown on their day. Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs over 100 yards. Gabe Davis came away with a touchdown. And Jamison Crowder also caught one along with Dawson Knox and Isaiah McKenzie. So spreading that ball around, they look like they're in great fashion for the playoffs. Defense, did they have any turnovers on the day? Sacks, 1.5 for Von Miller, 1.5 for Greg Rousseau, Javon Hargrave. We hope we don't see them in the playoffs because they look like they're firing on all cylinders right now. Forced fumbles? No forced fumbles in the day, but a great day for them. And the last game I want to talk about, we zoned in. We saw, hey, the Dolphins, they look like they might be making a push for the playoffs with our man Brandon Cooks on their side. And I think they lost it here. I think they lost their entire shot at it, losing to the Jets 28-14. We take a look at the player stats. Zach Wilson stepped up for them, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Tua only able to get 238 with a touchdown and a pick. If I stop pressing that button, we go over to rushing. Chase Edmonds had 61 yards on the day, no touchdowns. If we go over to Michael Carter, 48 yards, a touchdown, and Breece Hall had a touchdown as well. They ran the ball against them. They could not stop them. Jalen Waddle had 97 yards on the day. Tyler Conklin, 83. What did Brandon Cooks do? He only had 3 catches for 46 yards. Unfortunate for him. He said he wanted to go to a winning team, and we weren't sure in the beginning of the year. Turns out we turned into the best team in the AFC. Sucks for him, but we got the value out of him. And we traded that for Jerome Baker and a pick, and Jerome Baker's been huge for us in the linebacker position. So just a great trade overall for us, and it sucks for him, but we're going to be in the playoffs, and he won't. So looking over with that win, like we said, we won the AFC South, and we moved ourselves to the first round bye. That is huge. We don't have to worry about another game to which we could lose. So we take a look over the playoff schedule. Us and the Saints have the first round byes for each respective conference. The games we have to worry about. Let's talk about the Colts. With their loss, they moved from the 1 seed all the way down to the 5 seed, which means they are taking on the high-powered, fighting Bills, who dominated in Week 18. Moving on to this game, the 4 versus 5 seed there, that'll probably be the most competitive game we have. The Chiefs and the Bengals, 3 versus 6. That's going to be a big one. Another matchup between Mahomes and Burrow. And then Lamar Jackson and the Ravens take on the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that should be an easy one. I'm pretty sure Baltimore's going away with that one, but one game makes a difference in the playoffs. Then let's go over to the NFC side. The Cardinals are facing the Vikings with the 2 and 7 seed there. I'm amazed the Cardinals are that high up. I'd be amazed if they make it that far in the playoffs. I don't think their roster is up to par. NFC East battle with the 3 seed Commanders going up against the 6 seed Cowboys. Commanders have overproduced. They beat us this year, so we really don't want to see them if it comes down to it in Super Bowl. But I think that's going the Cowboys' way. That's just me, though. And then the Packers and the Rams. That's a very interesting game. It could go either way. I'm not sure about it, but that's the way the playoffs are looking right now. Also, we are now at the end of the year, so obviously we're going to look at how we match up with the rest of the league. Tom Brady led the way, probably on his last year as a player, over 5,300 yards on the day, almost 5,400, 50 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, maybe his best year of all time. Backed up by Patrick Mahomes, who had 5,200 yards, 39 touchdowns, 12 picks. Aaron Rodgers, just all the vets dominating. Justin Herbert's also up there with Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, the elite. We know that. We're going to scroll down until we find a far ways away Davis Mills. We know he didn't have a great year. That last game helped him out a little bit, but look at this. 2 more interceptions than touchdowns in the entire year. Not great. We will be looking to replace him. We go over to rushing. 1,500 yards was the best man in the league, was Alvin Kamara. Dameon Pierce was number 3 in his rookie year with 1,400 yards. We look at touchdowns. He had 11 on the year. That puts him at not near the top, but close enough. Fumbles. He did have a few fumbles. We're not going to talk about that. We probably used him a little bit too much when he was tired, but that's okay. Receiving. I doubt we're going to have anybody up here, but we can take a look, see when we see our first man here with yardage. We really weren't a passing team. Brandon Cooks found his way up there before us, so good for him. At least he got used probably more than he would here. I'm not seeing it. If we go to average per catch, we might see somebody here. Philip Dorsett had 2 catches on the year, and that got him up there. We saw one of them in our last blowout game against the Jaguars. Sorry, I forgot. Deshaun Jackson found his way up there. He knows he was getting the big catches. That was about it. Nico Collins. So when we were throwing it, we were airing it out, and it shows touchdowns on the year. No way we're going to have anybody up here. Yep. But, yep, that's the receiving game. Blocking, I don't even want to look at that. Let's go to sack leaders on the year. Arik Armstead led the way with 16.5. Khalil Mack with 16, 15.5. Emmanuel Ogbah. When is the first time we see one of our players? That's probably a good indication of where our D-line is at. We know they weren't great, but they stepped up when they were needed. If I can find any. Oh, Jerome Baker. Like I said, we made a trade for him. 4 sacks in the year. Nothing crazy, but he did produce in the middle of the field. Interceptions. We might see somebody up here. A bit higher than anybody could have predicted. Once we find somebody. Maybe I'm talking trash. Who knows? Running out of words to say. Give me a Texan quickly, please. There's no way. I just need a Texan. Please show up. I can't talk this long. Come on, we're at 2. We really had nobody over 2? All right. Maybe I'm just assuming things that happened that didn't happen. Forced fumbles? No, those are fumble recoveries. I need forced fumbles. Nothing more than 3. Oh, Jerome Baker's up there with 2. All right, there's our man. Defensive touchdowns. That's what we need to look at. This can't be right either. It says Jerome Baker only had 1, and Desmond King isn't up there. Let's not worry about that. So, now that we've looked over the stats, I think it is time we go over. Let's look at the yearly awards, see who won. Tom Brady, probably his last year in the league, walks out with the MVP, and he had an impressive year. Got the Bucs into the playoffs. I'm sorry, Bucs missed the playoffs, which is even crazier. But great to see him there. A lot of QBs here. Nobody on the board for us, but we didn't expect that. Lovie Smith, Coach of the Year. Let's go. Leading the Texans to a top seed in the AFC when many thought it would be another losing year for them. Very deserving of that honor. Great year for them. If we go over to the AFC, if I don't skip by it, Offensive Player of the Year wins to Keenan Allen, who had a great year with the Chargers. Let's see if we have any Texans on this list. We do not, which is expected. Defensive Player of the Year, Josh Allen for the Jaguars led the way. He did have 2 sacks against us in that blowout game. Do we have any Texans on this board? We do not. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Dameon Pierce walks away with that honor, and very well deserved. He had a massive year, backed up by 2 Jets here. We also had John Mechie on that list. He did produce as well. Defensive Rookie of the Year, dang it, Devin Lloyd just beat out Derek Stingley Jr. That's okay, though. He's going to have a great career nonetheless. Jalen Petre also found his way onto that list. Best QB, we're not going to be anywhere near that. Best running back, does Dameon Pierce make that list? He comes in at number 6, so I'd love to see that. Best receiver, I doubt we have a Texan in here. We do not. Best O-line, Laramie Tunsil found his way on that list at number 6 as well. I will take that. Best D-line, any Texans here? Jonathan Grenard at number 7. There we go. Best linebacker, anything? Nope. All right, best defensive back, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who didn't play much of the year at defensive back, no safety. He played one game at corner. He's playing most of his game at that sub linebacker position. Made a great day. Recognized as best defensive back in the league for his efforts. Derek Stingley Jr. in at number 4. Desmond King, with his playmaking, found his way at number 6 on the year. Best kicker, Kai Fairburn. He was basically perfect for the year. And yeah, that's how that shakes out. So looking over the records, we do have some, not new records, but we have some records tied. Marquez Valdez-Scantling for the Chiefs and Mark Andrews for the Ravens. Both had 5 touchdowns in one game. That got them tied with the record set by Shaw and the Cardinals in 1950, which is huge. And if we look at these season records, Tom Brady beat his record from the year before with 5,390 yards. He's still number 3 all-time behind Peyton Manning and Drew Brees. But that is a very impressive year, especially on one of his last years. Patrick Mahomes with his season found his way at number 5. If there's anything else we can find, I will let you know. Tom Brady also with the 50 touchdowns finds his way tied for 2nd. Behind Peyton Manning is the only one. He also, that's the same total he had in 2007 with Randy Moss on the Patriots. So with all that, we have walked away with some hardware. We do know that. But now let's take the time. It looks like with the time we have off, our coaching staff is going to make some changes to get more better production. And let's see how that turns out. So specifically for head coach Lovie Smith, we're going to see he made it a point that they're going to emphasize defensive training on the D-line to get them better production. And just overall in general, we're also going to see improvement there. Our D coordinator has also said he's going to have our play recognition for all positions being even better. So we're going to focus on he said he's focusing on cornerbacks for them. Also, their pursuit game is going to be even better. So we love to see that. Alrighty, and with that, we have covered everything we need to. We have seen the end of season results, and now we see our matchup. It looks like we are taking on the Cincinnati Bengals as the 10-7. They did not win the AFC North. Maybe they won the AFC North? I don't know. Let's not waste time. Let's check out what actually happened. Let's just take a look over at the NFC first. The Vikings, like I thought would happen, dominated the Cardinals 31-13. That puts them the 7th seed against the 1 seed Saints. Could be an interesting game. Like I said, Cowboys blew out the Commanders. Maybe they decided to show up once the playoffs come around. And then a very close game between the Packers and the Rams, high score. The Packers came out on top. Over on the AFC side, 41-35, hard-fought battle, but the Ravens came out on top as I thought they would. The Bengals upset the Chiefs 38-24. That got them across to play us, thank God, because I did not want to see Patrick Mahomes again. I do not think we can complete another shutout against him. And then the Colts steamrolled the Bills 35-9. They were firing on cylinders, and I'm amazed that the Colts had the resiliency to come back after the tough loss we gave them to lose them that first round bye, get us home field advantage. They're going to be facing the next powerhouse, number 2 seed Ravens. Hopefully Ravens can step up, get them out, because I do not want to face them. And I feel much more confident in us stopping the run game of the Ravens rather than the potential passing game of the Colts. But our matchup is going to be against the Bengals. Let's see what they produced just a week ago. So when they stepped out last time, Joe Burrow had 316 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions against Patrick Mahomes, 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions as well. This was a defensive monster battle. Joe Mixon rushed for 72, 4.5 a carry. Edward Helaire had 30. He had 2 touchdowns. Samaje Perine had 1 touchdown. So it looks like they were slinging the ball, but Joe Burrow could be making some mistakes. Hopefully we can capitalize on that. But their defense is also getting interceptions, turnovers. Who got him on the day? Rashad Fenton had 1 for the Chiefs. Justin Reed had 1. Trent McDuffie had 1 for the Bengals. Chidobe Awuzie had 1. Akeem Davis-Gaither and Jesse Bates. So we're going to have to watch out for the secondary. But let's figure out who we do have to match up with this week. So looking over the injury report, we are 100% healthy. We love to see that. For the Bengals, they are missing some key pieces. Jermaine Pratt, middle linebacker, he is out with a ruptured disc. He will be back next week if they can make it past us. And DJ Reader is on the injured reserve with a dislocated wrist with their star defensive tackle. He's going to be out. He'll be back next week if he can get past us. But those are some key misses. Hopefully we can get past them with those losses. But let's see who we do have to match up with that's not on the injury report. So obviously we know Joe Burrow leading the way at QB. He has developed very nicely into his third year. He is the franchise quarterback for this team. He is backed up by, let me not skip by it, Brandon Allen. Halfbacks, Joe Mixon leads the way with Samaje Perine. Colin Gillespie, I believe I pronounced that right. Top receiver, Jamar Chase. That is Joe Burrow's favorite guy. They both went to LSU together. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, also Stanley Morgan. So it looks like they lose a lot of depth after that third receiver. So if one of them leaves the game, or if they go into four receiver set, we should probably focus on getting him to target one of these backup receivers. Tight end Hayden Hurst, solid guy for him. Jonah Williams, the left tackle. Jackson Corman, left guard. Centers Ted Karras, right guard. Alex Kappa, and then off the right tackle is Lyle Collins. So a solid O-line, nothing crazy though. Maybe we can attack that. The defensive side, left end is Sam Hubbard. Right end is Trey Hendrickson. And the D tackle filling in for the injured DJ Reader is BJ Hill, backed up by Tyler Shelvin. The linebackers are Trey Flowers off the left. In the middle is Marcus Bailey. And then on the right is Logan Wilson. Chidobe Awuzie, their defensive back. Also Mike Hilton in there and Janoris Jenkins. Obviously free safety, we know Jesse Bates is a monster. And Von Bell is pretty solid as well on the strong safety side. Kicker is Evan McPherson. And punter is Kevin Huber. So with all of that, now let's take the time to figure out what our game plan is going to be against this squad. I think the move for this week is going to be, let's defend the outside run. We did great doing the same thing against Jonathan Taylor on the Colts, which is a similar look offense. The idea is if we can defend the run, lock that down, I'm confident in our defensive coverages with the linebackers. And the linebackers are a little iffy, but CJ Gardner-Johnson's shoring that up. Also, with our defensive back, Chris Harris Jr. has played great in one of his last years in the league, along with Derek Stingley Jr., just announced as a top corner in this league. So hopefully they can make the plays to step up, limit Joe Burrow in this offense. Hopefully we can walk away with a win. It's going to be a tough game nonetheless, though. And this week, they are also a team who likes to blitz a lot. So I said we try to contain the blitz, counter that. That will probably mean we'll have a few extra blockers in, but that's okay. Hopefully we can get better production overall if we get more time and limit turnovers. Maybe Dameon Pierce can get some good rushing, but it's going to be interesting to see how this game plays out. Looking at the coach goals for the week, our head coach, Lovie Smith, has said, let's win the turnover battle. I think that's going to be a consistent thing he wants from us because we know, especially in the playoffs, if you win the turnover battle, you're very likely going to win the game. So we can limit our mistakes, call some from there, and probably walk away with a win. Offensive coordinator has said, let's get 300 plus offensive yards. Has not been a strength of us all year. If we can step up now like we did last week, could be huge for our success. Defensive coordinator, allow 24 points or less. Listen, they're a great offense. They're probably going to put up points. If we can limit them lower than 24, we are probably walking away with a win. And I've said, let's allow 2 or less passing touchdowns. Let's do the same thing we did last week. Let's lock down the run game. Let them test us in the end zone. Hopefully, they're not able to throw as many as Matt Ryan did against us a week ago. But even if they do, we are probably going to walk away with a win. So we have made it through 2 sets of training now because we had our wildcard bye week where we also had some practice development, and also this week before the game. We didn't see any huge upgrades, but the important thing is that we saw no injuries. Everyone is healthy. But we did say Jonathan Owens, the one of our backup safeties, step up. So we love to see that. But yeah, so I believe that is everything we need. And with that, I believe we are finally ready. We got the bye from the wild card. We won that Week 18 game to get us home field advantage throughout the playoffs. We will return to NRG Stadium, and we have to take every game like this with a grain of salt because obviously it will be our last games in NRG Stadium if we lose. Very, very exciting. We walked away with a lot of hardware for this year, a lot of high finishes and a lot of the races. Just a solid year. I'm very excited. We are going to start our playoff journey. If you guys enjoyed it, remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications down below, and I'll catch you guys next time for our divisional playoff game against the Cincinnati Bengals. I will catch you all then.